Welcome. So this is just basically a recording I'm just going to do in relation to, I suppose, a subject that you wouldn't expect you think hardly any Christians would sort of mention, because, mostly people are Christians. All they care about is doing their job for their slave master and having fun. So when it comes to more serious things, you usually find that most Christian people are just not interested in it. But I actually do sort of look after some websites, and I've sort of had to do, situations where I've had to optimize websites for speed. So this is a subject, that I was obviously would be interested in. And I have to admit, I was a bit surprised when I found out how bad some of the sites are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through an example of the different sites just to show you what I mean. And then after that, we're just going to do some testing of them. All right, so the first site we're going to try is Lions of Israel. So this is a site which is run by someone called Priest Daniela, and it looks okay. It loaded in a reasonable amount of time. As you can see, it's got a lot of stuff on it, and the reason it's loading within a reasonable amount of time is simply because I've got a fast internet. But you can't rely on people to have fast internet all the time, so you have to really optimize your site for the poorer people in sort of poor countries with the slow internet as well. And so then the next site I'm going to try he's got like a closed site. So let's try this one. Okay, so that seemed to load reasonably quick as well. So you think that, okay, things aren't so bad so far. And I mean, you can visit some of these sites if you want to, but personally I wouldn't bother. And it's another site I think he deals with is Jamaica CMOS. So yeah, it seems to load reasonably quickly. But like I say, my internet connection is reasonably quick. So now now some of these sites, they might have updated it since I last checked, but we'll soon find out. So this is ISUPK. They're like a sort of big group in America, and yeah, it looks like their site is still slow. Yeah, they haven't dealt with this at all, haven't they? So as you can see, they got lots of big images. I don't know what's going on here. Just like some text to me. Yeah, see, it's a bit. You can tell that someone just threw this theme together. Because I know all these blank spaces. I don't even get it. I think it's still loading though. So you got all the nice effects, but when you've got a site with all this blank space, it's sometimes it can take a bit long to scroll through it. So like I say, yet again, that seemed to load pretty quick. And I suppose it helps that I just rebooted my router, because it seemed to be having some problems as well. It seems like it's a lot faster now. So this is their old site. And notice it's not HTTPS, because you don't even want to try doing HTTPS to connect to this, and they've still got Flash on it. Alright, so then next group we've got is another sort of famous group in America, and this is Israel United in Christ. Oh, now that's very surprising. So they got a problem with the certificate. Okay. Okay. Alright, that's a surprise. It was working. Seemed to be okay before. Alright, let's try without HTTPS then. Alright, so it's loading. I think it's loading. Oh, it is loading. Amazing. As you could see, that was pretty slow. And I remember how I was saying how my internet connection is fast. And if any... Oh, that's strange. Something strange about the HTTPS there. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, that seemed to work. So, oh, certificate invalid. Funny. Let's encrypt. Okay. Let's see. So they got a Let's Encrypt certificate. And see on 25th of January, so it should still be valid. Yeah, I think there's something wrong with the configuration of their web server, because that ain't supposed to be happening, what's happening there. And I presume that the web people just don't care, which seems to be an unfortunate thing about our people. The way that as long as we're doing well, then we get a bit lazy about certain things. So obviously this website, something's wrong with the configuration of it, because Let's Encrypt shouldn't have a problem. Alright, so let's get away from this. So next one we're going to try is another famous group, which is Gathering of Christ. So that site's loading. And that was marginally quicker. Okay, still a little white space. Alright, so funny that how that thing didn't have our people on it, but that's typical with these guys. So that seems reasonable. Remember, I do have a fast internet connection. So then the last one I'm going to try is another. Not so famous on the streets, but apparently they're one of the biggest ones in America. And so that seemed to come in reasonably quick. So as you can see, out of all the sites so far, going just by eyesight, you'd have to say Israelite is the worst site. And yet they're also the biggest group on the street anyway. And this is a typical thing you'll find with our people, is that when we're successful in something, we also seem to be a bit rubbish in other things. And when it comes to websites, it looks like it's no exception. Alright, so that wasn't so bad. So now, of course, looking at the way these sites perform, you can kind of work out which one's going to sort of come in last when it comes to seeing how they perform. But what we do is, rather than me, rather than me just doing it by eyesight, what we're going to do is we're going to get a company called GT Metrics to actually give us the proper lowdown on what's going on. So this is a website you can use for testing sites to see how well it runs on, even like if someone has a slow internet connection. This is a good site to test your website on, to make sure that it's also good for the poorer people as well. Because you can't just design websites only for rich people. Oops. That's the first link. No point testing them. Okay, so let's give old Priest Daniela a go first. So he gets to go first. Let's see what his site is saying. And this Priest Daniela guy, he likes to talk a lot, and he likes to show himself doing weights, so you can feel that he's, he sort of likes himself. So someone who likes himself that much, you'd wonder if he'd have a website, which he's taken care of as well, but we're about to find out. This is taking a bit long there. Let's see what's happening. Ooh, that is terrible. So as you can see, 366 requests. That is some painful stuff. It has to be said. 21 seconds fully loaded. So you can see the fact that I had a fast internet really did hide how horrible the performance is. So obviously PageSpeed could care less about their site, giving them 39%. And well, I mean, what can I say? It's hardly any point going through this. It's just all, and the problem is, see all these priority, they're all high. If you get a bad score on a high priority, then PageSpeed always gives you F basically. You just get a bad score guaranteed. And YSlow is a little bit more friendly. But, yeah, well, obviously make fewer requests. Yeah, 366 requests. I think that is quite impressive. So as you can see, poor Priest Daniela looks like he better stick to weights, because when it comes to websites, it doesn't seem too hot. So let's go to the next one. Let's go for GT metrics again. Alright, so now this is his website with the close on it. Make sure I got that right. Okay, so let's check his t-shirt site. Hopefully it's not as bad as that 366 requests. I mean, you're in some poor country with okay, it looks a little bit fast now. Imagine some poor third world country wants to check out Priest Daniela and the website is just taking like half an hour to load, man. Seriously. Yeah, this seems a bit better. Okay, see, they like that. But I think it's because he's actually on a, what do you call it? There's a special site that handles. That's right. So you see para storage. It seems, well, it could do with a bit of aggregation though. Seriously? He's got all this JavaScript, man. That's crazy. So, yeah, I think this is like a specialist website which actually, so it's hosted on it. But one thing I'll say for sure is they really need to do some aggregation, man, because that is too much JavaScript. 131 requests, that's madness. And the loaded time, well, at least it's not 20 seconds. And total page size isn't too bad, but the 131 requests, that is a killer for people in third world countries, or if you're trying to load it on a phone line. And yeah, believe it, there's going to be someone in the world who's going to be using a phone line to access the internet, and they will definitely not like that. So let's go to the next one. Alright, so this is Priest Daniela again, his website that's selling some CMOS, I think some food, I'm not sure what you. So just wait for this. Okay, that doesn't seem too bad either. Because how long it takes at this stage does, yeah, that's not so bad. Let's have a look. Okay. So it wasn't as bad. I mean, still 130 requests though. I mean, seriously. So the poor people with the phone lines, they're not going to like that. And it seems like it doesn't really like this. Images are a bit, yeah, so those images are a bit too big. And obviously YSlow doesn't like it. Yeah, saying that the JavaScript and CSS, that's not too bad. Yeah, but see, the YSlow definitely doesn't like the requests. So they're trying to help out all the poor people who can't afford a fast internet. and the expires header as well, so that you don't have to keep on getting the images and CSS from the site repeatedly. Yeah, so that's, I mean, that score is not too bad. So let's just go on to the next one. So that's the end of Cristianiello. So it looks like he really needs to get into his website optimization and ease off the weights a bit. So let's go to the next one. Okay, so it's good old ISUPK. These guys like to shout a lot, so let's see if all that shouting comes to anything on their website. See how long it takes to get to the third one. That's how you can tell. Yeah, it's taking a bit of time, isn't it? Yeah, that's not good. That third bar is the killer one. Yeah, this isn't good at all. So even though with a fast internet, it seemed quick, but as you can see, wow, that was terrible. Yes, you can already see that ISUPK is not. Yeah, well, you know. Yes, that is impressive. That's the first time I've seen 0% on any. That's amazing. Oh, look, this is just fantastic. So there you have it. ISUPK with their big mouth and all that noise they're making, when it comes to their website, it's just horrible. I mean, what can I say? PageSpeed just does not like their website at all, man. It just seems to hate their site. 0%, you know. That is amazing. So it looks as if poor old ISUPK, they need to be taken to task, man. They're gonna have to. Well, hopefully they won't beat up whoever does their website, because you know they like to talk violence too much. But it looks as if all that big mouth talking that they're doing, it shows you that they don't actually understand too much about what's going on in the world, and having such a horrible website, which is wasting people's bandwidth and their electricity, it's just a sad thing. Alright, so no point dwelling on that one, well, except for that 0%, which is amazing. Let's go to the next one. It's hardly worth doing this one. This is just their old website that they've thrown away, but they've just kept it up. But let's see what GT Metrics has to say about it anyway. I don't think they're going to block me because I've tested all of these before and they didn't seem to start to throttle me. Ooh, well, PageSpeed doesn't like it. But at least you got more than 0, that's for sure. YSlow seems to think it's alright. See, because it's 34 requests, yeah, YSlow loves that. And 2 megabytes, YSlow loves that as well. And fully loaded 2 seconds, yeah, so YSlow likes this kind of thing. The fast load, small page, and low requests, you always get a good YSlow score. But if your images are too big, PageSpeed hates you. That's what see, images, PageSpeed just doesn't like big images at all. It really penalizes you for that, as I've found out anyway. Alright, so, well, this is just their old site, so no point dwelling on it, so let's go to the next one. And here we go. So let's see if they can. Maybe I shouldn't do HTTPS because it gave a funny error last time. So let's try to do the redirect. Okay, let's go. So I can drop to the queue. Okay, so I haven't been throttled yet. So fetch insight. So let's see if they can at least beat ICPK on page speed. I mean, any website must be able to beat ICPK on page speed. Definitely. I mean, 0%, that is impressive. So all that shouting on the street, and they've got no clue about how the world works when it comes to information and making sure your website is good so people can come and get that information. Instead, you're just clogging up their broadband with all this inefficiency. Okay. Oh, well, look, at least the page speed is better than ICPK. But the fully loaded 23 seconds, yeah, it's a bit slow. Total page size, yeah, it's not. So, funny enough, even though for me this loaded slower, it seems it actually does better than the ICPK site. So you see, it's not really images, it's the defer JavaScript, yeah. So I mean, F is not a good score, but at least this is bigger than 0. And you see, Y-slow is a bit lower. So what it means is, the number of requests. So Y-slow hates large number of requests and large fully loaded time. Y-slow does not like that. So Israelite, they managed to beat ICPK, which I suppose that's what they're doing at the moment in America anyway. Let's try the next one. Okay, so Gathering of Christ. So these guys are in second place as far as I know. Let's check them out. So adding to the queue. I'm still not being throttled, so let's see how GOCC does. Okay, well that wasn't too bad. Yeah, see. So that's similar to Israelite. Page size is bigger. Requests, it's still 194, so Y-slow won't like that. Fully loaded 7 seconds. So page speed again, this time it's the JavaScript they don't like. And the images need to be optimized. And the caching, see, they got 0 for these top 3. So even though you might hear Elder Rakar, who's the leader of this group, when he speaks, he sounds flash, but obviously, again, just doesn't understand about websites. And so all those poor people in Africa trying to access his site with their slow internet, they're going to have the JavaScript eating up their computers, basically. And then, of course, without the browser caching, look at that. So all these files have to be downloaded, in a reasonably, this is 15 hours. I mean, that's not that long, but they say it should be like a day or a week or something like that. So every half a day, they have to re-download the static images. So that's what PageSpeed is complaining about. So even though they sound fancy and like dressing, in their fancy clothes, again, when it comes to their website, they just don't have a clue, Well, no, they don't. Because this is done, I think, by WordPress. So this is just a default WordPress install. Because the easiest way to know is just go to this JavaScript. And if you got a long list, then look at that. They couldn't even be bothered to minify it. It's just a waste of time, isn't it? That's all you look for. With no minification, this is just complete waste of time. And then look at that. Well, that wasn't too bad. But JavaScript really eat up the time in the page load. Alright, so let's not dwell on that. Let's go to the next one. Alright, so finally we come down to the second to last site anyway, which is Israel of God. So they're a group which is in Chicago, quite a big group. So let's test them, check them out. Okay, so we're in the queue. So, sorry, it's fetching site, so it's still not throttled. Okay, this isn't good. This is taking too long. Yeah, that's not good at all. Let's see what it says. See, I mean, 180, I mean, it's not that bad considering it's a bit slower. It seems like it's the images that really slow it down. So page speed is C, so that's reasonable. YSO score is D, yeah, 118 requests. YSO doesn't like that. And that fully loaded time. And then page speed, yeah, images again, they just doesn't like big images at all. And that JavaScript, at least it's not as long as GOCC anyway. And yeah, we'll see why. So they're not happy about these. So these different things. So as you can see, Israel of God is not too bad, but still, yeah, again, it's more a case of they're doing their preaching or whatever, and not really caring about their website, thinking that the website will take care of itself. Who cares about it? And that you tend to find that is the attitude with our people. And I suppose the main reason is just because I'm interested in, this kind of thing for a while. So when I've got this is just a continuation, where I just decided to add an extra website to the previous one. And it's just because there's this particular Hebrew Israelite called Ron Dalton Jr. who does a very good job of sort of getting money out of Israelites. And he's always going on about, you need to spend money. And all of his videos, he charges you like a bit of money for the DVDs, and you have to pay to watch all of his recordings, which, is fair enough. Only problem is that his videos are similar to what the Europeans are doing with their videos, in that it's slick and they sound good, but they still don't contain any real solutions. And he sort of advocates that we should all go to Ghana and just repatriate there. Problem is he shows a recording of some people who got their citizenship in Ghana, and when you looked at the people there, I think the old prime minister was there as well, which shows that Ghana, the only reason they're living comfortably is because the Europeans are allowing them to, so they still don't have any independence. So going to Ghana is a bit like just staying in a European country, really. So basically, he was complaining about how his website was a bit slow and that he thinks someone's trying to attack it. Problem is, I actually looked at his site and he's actually running WordPress, which is the worst CMS you can use for security. And you can bet someone set it up on WordPress and then they just forgot to do a couple of updates. So of course someone's going to break into the WordPress site almost immediately if you don't sort that out. So basically, since he was complaining about how his site is being slow, I thought I'd give you a quick check out on the same friend that we used to test those other websites you just saw. So I just need to enable JavaScript for that. Right, so his website is called I think it's called Negro Network. No, there's something else. I've forgotten the name now. It was Negro. I think it's the Negro Network. .com. Here's the interesting thing about this. It's called thenegronetwork.com. So let's test that. And the interesting thing about it is that he says he's trying to free us, but yet he names it Negro, which is a term the Europeans use. So of course our term we should use is whatever we were called where we originally came from. But to use it, and this is the other thing, and you see a lot of other people keep saying that we're black as well, where black is just a negative color used by Europeans again. So Ron will use the same method as the Europeans, i.e. videos, and he'll also use a term which is from the Europeans as well. And now if you called it Israelite Network, I could say, okay, that's fine. I can go with that name because at least he's trying to go back to what he's talking about. But using a term like Negro, well, why would you want to join the Negro Network if you don't think you're a Negro? If you're just an Israelite, you join the Israelite Network. But for whatever reason, he decided to call it that. So as you can see, initially, now that we've got through the queue, it's taken a while, and as you remember on the previous sites, if the fetching part takes a while, then you actually know that it's going to be a bit slow. So let's see all that money that Ron's been collecting, if it's actually gone to do anything useful with his website. And the answer is, well, that's like all that money he's been collecting, he hasn't been using it properly. Interesting enough, that loading time was longer when I tried it before. But as you can see, 331 requests. I mean, so all that money that Ron's been collecting is basically gone for nothing on your website. All he did was get some cheap coder to slap the site together. Oh yeah, there's no image there because this browser, the JPEG, is a bit knackered. So that should have an image of his front page on it. But we don't really care about that because, you see, this view doesn't affect what their browser saw. So their browser obviously did get the full website. So all what you're seeing here is the correct. So as you can see, these developers don't know anything about JavaScript. And let's see how horrible this is. Yeah, well, look at that. That's pretty horrible stuff. I mean, look at that. I mean, see, oh, really. So basically, Ron's collecting all that money from people, saying you should give it to him so he can make things better, but doesn't even know how to speed up a website. I mean, seriously? Okay, that isn't as terrible. And not even serving scaled images. Well, it's only a couple, so that's not so bad. So, as you can see, when it comes to his site, the speed of the site, I mean, it takes 15 seconds to fully load. So let's try Y slow. Yeah, see, it doesn't like all those requests, so you never get a good score if your requests are too high. And well, it's not using CDN, so the thing is, CDNs cost you about, I don't know, £1 or $1 a month. I think it's $1 a month minimum. So he's not even willing to spend $12 a year to add a CDN to his website just to speed things up. So it looks as if Ron, he's doing all them videos saying about how you should join him and everything's so wonderful, but just like with those other Israelites, his website is just lacking. Which is, oh, actually I shouldn't highlight that because 3 megabytes is actually okay for web page size, even though they say it's bad. It's not that bad, but the request is horrible though, for sure. And the 15 seconds fully loaded, that is proper slow. So my site, so what I'll do is, as the last site to do, I'll just put my one in just as a comparison. So let's see if after all of that, I was just wasting my time. Okay, let's check it out. Switching site. Yeah, it's a bit slow because it's actually the background image. And look at that. So at least one thing's for sure. Those Hebrew Israelites with their big mouth, they're good at talking, they're good at making noise on the streets, But when it comes to websites, they're not too hot. And I suppose my problem is I'm not too good at making noise with my mouth and shouting on the street, but it seems as if I know a little bit about websites anyway. And I know this Y slow is only giving me 86%, and there's actually a reason for that. It's to do with this fully loaded time, like I keep saying. So you notice, well, it's saying make fewer requests, but essentially what the problem there is, and all these three, well, yeah, all three of them, the essential reason why these three are down is because when you look at them, yeah, it's all to do with sort of Twitter, Facebook. So essentially on my site, on the front page, I've got these buttons, and basically these buttons here, these are what are responsible for these bad scores basically. So the choice I have is either to remove the buttons to get a higher Y slow score, or leave them and just make do with the B basically. And just to show, just to show what I mean about that, I've got another site where I don't actually have those buttons on it, but it's using the same sort of CMS backend. Yeah, it uses the same CMS backend, but the only thing is it doesn't have the buttons on the front. So essentially, the way I've set it up is the same as this site. And at the end of that, look at that, see, 100%. So that's as a result of not having the Facebook buttons on the front. And you see good old 18 requests. So of course, Y slow is going to love that. And the only thing it complains about is, well, it says use a CDN. I'm not sure what it's, oh yeah, I forgot. The score, that score should be 96 because I've disabled the CDN. Yeah, when I had the CDN running, I was using a CDN for testing, and when the CDN's running, I actually get 96 for that. But because I've disabled the CDN, it's down to 90. But essentially, that, so when we look at the sad state of the, Hebrew Israelite sort of website landscape, it doesn't look too good. So what it basically shows you is that there are people that do these sites, they don't really care. As long as their guys are out the front making all the noise, then that's, yeah, I mean, this is the only one that's respectful because it's got A and B. So as long as, yeah, the CMOS, but I think this is another site, which is, it's not, how can you say, it's a hosted site. So obviously, if you have it on a hosted site, but that 130 request, that's still bad though, it must be said. Yeah, so they really need to get that down. So that's yeah, these three are Daniela. So he's, well, his main site is the one that needs work. I mean, 360 is a request, that is impressive. So, and then we have, poor old ICPK, I mean, terrible, 0%, man. See, they should really be crying at that. I mean, 214 crest isn't so bad, but 43 megabyte page size, I mean, come on, seriously? See, these guys take this web design thing for a joke. And then, well, this is an old site, so it's hardly worth, even though it's got a nice 34 requests. And Israel Unite, yeah, 270 requests is not good, but at least page size is reasonable. Fully loaded is a bit slow. And was it Gathering of Christ? Yeah, I mean, so they're similar to Israel Unite. So they need a bit of work to get that request number down. And then Israel of God, yeah, so you see they're not too bad. At least their request is not in the 200 range, even though they're fully loaded is a bit slow. And so what they really need to aim for is this, basically. And if you get rid of the Facebook buttons, then this is what you should really be aiming for. So what I just want to show is that sometimes you can have these groups that are going around doing things, even helping people out as well, but there's certain aspects of their evangelism which they neglect. And the problem is when they neglect that, it can actually sort of have an adverse effect, especially on their ranking in the search, the search, with the search companies. Alright, so I just thought, the only reason I did this is because I was just going on some of the sites and noticed how slow they load in. So I thought I'd give them a test on GT metrics, and I have to admit, I was actually shocked at how bad the results were. So I thought I'd just quickly get this together just to show that obviously these groups, they really need to be dealing sort of more with getting their website sorted out. Okay, see.